The mountains had always held a certain allure for me, a place of solitude and beauty where the world's chaos seemed to fade away. That's why, on that crisp autumn morning, I found myself trekking up a remote trail, my hiking boots crunching on fallen leaves as I ascended higher into the embrace of the towering peaks. The air was invigorating, the scent of pine and earth filling my lungs as I hiked deeper into the wilderness. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the landscape, I paused to catch my breath on a rocky outcrop that offered a breathtaking view of the valley below. The colors of the sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, a serene backdrop to my solitude. The world was quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant calls of birds. But then, a faint sound reached my ears, a low, vibrating hum that seemed to come from all directions at once. It was a sound I couldn't quite place, like a distant echo of machinery. I strained my ears, trying to discern its source, but it remained elusive, a haunting undertone to the tranquil surroundings. Curiosity piqued, I continued along the trail, the hum growing steadily louder. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled as a strange unease settled over me. My gaze drifted upwards, drawn to a strange formation of clouds that seemed to swirl and twist in an unnatural manner. It was as if the air itself was charged with an electric energy, sending a shiver down my spine. And then, as I rounded a bend in the trail, I saw it. Hovering above the peaks was an object unlike anything I had ever seen. It was sleek and metallic, its edges sharp and angular against the backdrop of the fading light. The hum had grown into a pulsating rhythm that seemed to resonate with my very bones. My heart raced as I watched, rooted to the spot, as the object glided effortlessly through the air. The UFO, for that's what it had to be, emitted a soft, eerie light that bathed the landscape in an otherworldly glow. I watched, breathless, as it maneuvered with a fluid grace, defying the laws of physics as it shifted and spun. My mind struggled to comprehend what I was seeing, a craft that was far beyond our current understanding of technology. As the UFO moved closer, a feeling of both awe and terror swept over me. It was an encounter with the unknown, a collision of realities that shattered my sense of normalcy. My instinct told me to flee, to retreat back down the trail and forget what I had witnessed, but a morbid curiosity held me in place. And then, without warning, the pulsating hum ceased. The UFO hovered in the air for a tense moment before vanishing in a burst of blinding light. The sudden darkness that followed left me disoriented, my eyes struggling to adjust to the absence of the strange illumination. A sense of emptiness settled over me, like a void left by something that shouldn't have been there in the first place. I stumbled back, my heart still racing, my mind a jumble of thoughts and emotions. What had I just witnessed? Was it a trick of the light? My imagination playing tricks on me? As I made my way down the trail, the night sky above me began to twinkle with stars. The forest around me seemed to close in, the shadows now holding an air of uncertainty. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stumbled upon something beyond human comprehension, a secret that the mountains had harbored for countless years. When I finally reached the base of the mountain, I found myself staring back up at the peaks. The stars above were like watchful eyes, silent witnesses to a moment that defied explanation. The UFO sighting had left an indelible mark on me, a reminder that the world was far more mysterious than we could ever fathom. As I drove away from the mountains, the memory of that encounter remained etched in my mind. It was a story I could never truly share, a tale of the unexplained that would forever linger on the edge of my reality. And as I glanced back at the mountains disappearing in the rearview mirror, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets they held, waiting to be uncovered by those daring enough to venture into their depths. The crisp mountain air bit at my skin as I trekked through the rugged terrain. Towering pine trees loomed on either side of the narrow trail, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out for me. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a warm golden hue across the landscape. I felt a surge of exhilaration as I gazed out over the vast expanse of wilderness that stretched before me. Little did I know that this hike would lead me to an encounter beyond my wildest imagination. As the day waned, I found myself on a ridge overlooking a deep valley. The view was breathtaking, a testament to the raw beauty of the mountains. I decided to take a moment to catch my breath and soak it all in. The wind whispered through the trees, and the distant chirping of birds added a soothing melody to the scene. Lost in the moment, I noticed a strange flicker of light out of the corner of my eye. It was distant and sporadic, like a firefly on steroids. At first, I brushed it off as a trick of the light or my tired eyes playing tricks on me. But as the minutes ticked by, the flickering persisted, growing more pronounced. I narrowed my eyes, studying the source of the strange lights. They seemed to be coming from beyond a distant ridge, like a pulsating dance of illumination against the twilight sky. The colors were unlike anything I'd ever seen, a mix of blues, greens, and purples that seemed to shimmer and shift like the auroras I'd seen in pictures. Intrigued and now fueled by curiosity, I made a decision. I adjusted my backpack and began the descent towards the ridge, my footsteps echoing in the stillness of the mountains. The terrain was challenging, but my excitement pushed me forward. After what felt like an eternity, I finally reached the top of the ridge. The source of the lights was now clearly visible, and my heart skipped a beat at the sight. Hovering in the sky above the distant valley was an object unlike anything I'd ever encountered. A sleek metallic craft that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. My breath caught in my throat as I watched in awe. The craft's lights were rhythmic, almost hypnotic in their pattern. It hovered in the air with a quiet grace, defying the laws of physics as I knew them. My mind raced, grappling with the reality before me. Could this be a secret military experiment, or something not of this world? The hum of the craft reached my ears, a low, thrumming vibration that seemed to resonate through my very bones. It was as if the very air was alive with an electric charge. I felt a strange mixture of fear and wonder, an adrenaline-fueled cocktail that left me frozen in place. As I watched, the lights on the craft began to intensify, casting an eerie glow across the landscape. I was transfixed, unable to tear my gaze away. And then, without warning, the craft shot upwards with a blinding burst of light that seared through the darkening sky. For a moment, all was quiet. The wind stilled, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. And then, a shockwave rippled through the air, a force that knocked me off my feet and sent me tumbling to the ground. The ground shook beneath me, and a rush of panic coursed through my veins. Struggling to my feet, I scanned the sky for any sign of the craft, but it was gone, leaving only a sense of unease and a trail of questions in its wake. What had I just witnessed? Who or what had been piloting that craft? And what did it all mean for me, a lone hiker in the mountains? The walk back to my campsite was a blur, my thoughts consumed by the incredible encounter. As I settled by the dying embers of my campfire, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stumbled upon something beyond human comprehension. The mountains, once a place of solace and adventure, had become a realm of mystery and uncertainty. As the stars emerged in the night sky, I couldn't help but wonder about the secrets that the universe held, the enigmatic forces that could reveal themselves in the most unexpected of places. And as I lay in my sleeping bag, listening to the rustling leaves and the distant howls of creatures unknown, I knew that the memory of those lights in the mountain sky would stay with me forever, a haunting reminder that we are not alone in the vast expanse of the cosmos. The crisp morning air clung to my skin as I embarked on my solitary hike through the rugged terrain of the mountain range. Towering pines and gnarled oaks lined the path, their branches casting eerie shadows on the ground. My backpack felt heavy against my shoulders, packed with essentials for a day-long adventure. Little did I know that this hike would lead me to a place beyond my wildest imagination. The trail twisted and turned, leading me deeper into the heart of the mountains. My footsteps echoed in the quiet, a soothing rhythm amidst the stillness of nature. I had always found solace in the outdoors, a chance to escape the chaos of everyday life. But today, a sense of unease crept over me, as if the very land I walked on held secrets untold. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher in the sky. As I ascended, the landscape changed dramatically. The trees grew sparser, giving way to vast, rocky expanses. Jagged cliffs loomed ahead, their shadows stretching like skeletal fingers. I took a deep breath, savoring the view, despite the prickling sensation at the base of my neck. I pushed forward, drawn by an inexplicable force that seemed to beckon me further into the heart of the mountains. That's when I saw it, a metallic gleam amidst the rocks. My curiosity piqued. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. As I got closer, the gleam transformed into a metallic disc, half buried in the ground. The sight sent shivers down my spine. I stood before the strange object, my mind racing to rationalize its presence. Perhaps it was a weather balloon or some long-forgotten piece of machinery. But deep down, I knew this was like nothing I had ever seen. The surface of the disc was smooth and flawless, reflecting the sunlight like a mirror. Lost in thought, I was jolted from my reverie by a low hum that seemed to emanate from the disc itself. Goosebumps rose on my arms as the hum intensified, vibrating through the ground beneath my feet. Before I could react, the disc began to spin slowly, casting a surreal, otherworldly light that bathed the surrounding landscape. Fear clutched at my chest, but I couldn't tear my gaze away from the spectacle before me. The disc's rotation increased in speed until it became a blur, and suddenly, with a deafening rush of wind, it shot into the sky. I stumbled back, shielding my eyes from the blinding light that erupted from the disc's departure. As the light faded, a sinking feeling of emptiness overtook me. It was as if the mountain itself held its breath, waiting for something to happen. I stood there, shaken and awestruck, contemplating the impossible. What had I just witnessed? Was it a UFO? The thought seemed ludicrous, yet I couldn't deny what my own eyes had seen. I glanced around, my heart still pounding, and that's when I saw them, figures standing on a nearby ridge. They were tall, slender, and their forms shimmered in the fading light. Fear surged through me anew as I realized that I wasn't alone. Panic clawed at my throat and I stumbled back, desperate to flee from this surreal nightmare. I turned and sprinted down the path, not daring to look back. The trail seemed to stretch endlessly, my surroundings a blur of colors and shapes. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper of wind made my heart race faster. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of my car, my breath ragged and my body trembling. As I sped away from the mountains, the events of the day replayed in my mind like a haunting melody. I had come face to face with something beyond human comprehension, something that defied the laws of nature as I knew them. And those figures on the ridge, were they the occupants of that otherworldly craft? I couldn't shake the feeling that my encounter was just the beginning, that the mountains held secrets that humankind was never meant to uncover. The memory of that day would forever linger in my thoughts, a reminder that there are forces in the universe far beyond our understanding. Forces that can turn a simple hike into a journey into the unknown and transform the beauty of nature into a realm of terror and wonder.